That was the specialty that he was in um, as a police officer, and he had quit because he just had regret because of a situation where he was unsuccessful in convincing someone to not, do what, that. So he, everyone's telling him like, like it wasn't your fault, you did the best you could do, but that trauma really affected him, but it was through. So basically, in my notes, I said trauma kept him from his purpose, but he got into alignment after meeting her and leaving the counterfeit. So basically, him meeting her really changed his life because he decided not to go through with the fiance and that marriage. And then he also got back into his he was able to finish the book, and he was able to get back into his purpose, into helping people at his job, and that he did really good at. He got into alignment. And so this is what God is doing even now, like during the separation. Like, you, even though you haven't, because in the movie the separation was for a year, and Anna was just living her life. She had no idea that all these things happened until like a year later, and she went to go see him and things like that. But his whole life changed because of her, and he got into alignment. So basically, this is what God is doing now. God is getting them into alignment. Um, they, like, for them to be able to be reconciled with you, God has to get them into alignment, and that looks like, them separating from any counterfeit relationships. That looks like them really stepping into the things that He's called them to do, um, walking in their purpose. And if there's anything that they may have put down at certain points, then picking those things back up again. And even in just community and friendships, like God aligning them with the right people. Another way that God is bringing them into alignment is by helping them to release any, bad or old habits or mindsets. In the movie The Friends, he stops going to the bar and he stopped drinking, and that was a habit that he had to let go of. He ended up going to the place to recover from his alcohol addiction. And another thing that God is doing with them is He's helping them heal. So it's an overall alignment process. That's really what God is doing for them right now. So when the friend at the end of the movie, when he was saying like, I just wanted to get myself together, like that's literally what God is doing with the spouses right now. Like, He's getting them together. Like, they may not have everything together and like what they want, but like in the things that are necessary for this reconciliation, like God is getting them together. You have really been a source of healing and inspiration for them, because before he met her, like he never really had any like desire or motivation to go back to his work that he's doing. He had no inspiration for continuing the book, but he got that after his experience with her. So just know that you, even though you've been in this separation, you have still, like, they are still feeling the impacts of you being in their life. They are still feeling the impacts of your presence, and it has inspired them, and it has motivated them, and it has really pushed them to get into alignment with God. So basically, they reunite, Anna and the guy, and then their friends reunite. So both relationships, they have this reconciliation and this reunion. So at the end of the movie, the song that plays is called At Last by Etta James. And this has already been a song that God used to confirm um, just this marriage promise to me. So when I heard the song, I was like, oh yeah, this is it. And when the song was playing at the end of the movie, it was when they were actually getting married. So Anna and the guy, I forgot the guy's name, but they at the end of the movie they got married, and the friends, they were basically the best man and the maid of honor for the wedding. So they were still together too. They just, were there at their wedding. And another thing that stood out to me was that Anna, she basically had told him when they were still, like, that weekend where they met and they were getting to know each other, she had told him about a specific location that they walked past, and she said that she would want to get married there, that it was a place that was romantic, but her fiance didn't agree and didn't think so. So they ended up getting married at the place where she thought that it was romantic and it was what she wanted and things like that. That actually reminds me of another movie that I saw as well. And for some reason I'm not able to remember the name of it, but it was similar in the sense that the bride, she had wanted her wedding. Okay, I remember it now. It's called The In-Laws. Yeah, that's another movie that the Lord had me watch as well. Um, that one I wasn't really expecting it to take like the turn that it did. It was more like I guess action, or kind of like not sci-fi, but it was just more like action based. But basically with that movie, the bride wanted her wedding to be a certain way. She just wanted it to be on a beach with 6 people. But her family was arranging and planning this big wedding for them. And because of the situations that happened in the movie with like the father's career and, just different scenarios, basically the wedding kind of got ruined. And so they were like, okay, we have to make up for this. And so they basically had someone kind of be the officiant, and they just got married on the beach. And it was basically just the couple and their parents and the officiant. So the father was saying, I'm sorry you didn't get, that everything happened with the wedding and stuff. And she was like, no, it's okay. This is exactly what I wanted. 6 people on a beach. And so even with that, like God is just saying, like, even when it comes to your desires for like you actually getting married, like where you want it to be, like how many people you want there and things like that, like God knows the desires of your heart, and he wants to give you the desires of your heart when it comes to even your wedding and those details. Going back to the movie It Had to Be You, um in the scene before they get married and stuff, you know and they reunite, he's basically saving a girl's life. And so really with this, I feel like it really symbolizes redemption, because he thought that it was all over for him. He thought his career was all over for him because of this one, tragic event. But he was able to have that second chance, that opportunity again to really make a difference in someone's life and rescue someone. And it worked out positively, and she survived and she made it. And there was this audience watching at the bottom, and they were like applauding and things like that and celebrating. So basically with this, what the Lord was kind of showing me is that God is redeeming these spouses, and they may have felt like they were unqualified for what he's called them to do, but he's giving them this chance to really step up, and they're not going to fail. Like God has backing them up, and they're going to be successful as they step into God's calling for their life. And then also just with the fact that he was saving a girl's life, you both are called to really set the captives free and rescue people from darkness and from, the enemy's agenda. So you are going to be making a significant impact in the lives of others, and you both together, but your spouse as well. Like they are called to really make a difference in people's lives, and God is going to give them that opportunity. But it's something that you're both going to be doing together, but God just wants them to recognize that they are capable, that they are able, and that he has given them this calling. And that he will be with them, and they will succeed in stepping out in what God's called them to do. So basically how it transitions from that to the wedding is like, he comes down, like the guy, he comes down and his friend, they come down from the building where they rescued the girl, and Anna and her friend are down there at the bottom waiting. And so that's when, the friends, that couple reunites, they kiss, and then the Anna and her guy, they meet up again and they kiss. So then when it shows their kiss, then it switches to them kissing at the wedding, and it shows the father behind them, the father that they had met before, where he had said that thing about the time and the heart and things like that. And so just with that, like what stood out to me was that the father was behind them. And just know that in this union, that the Father is behind you. Like, God is right there behind you. He is on your side. He is backing you up. And He is supporting you in this. So He wants you to finish strong. He wants you to make it. He wants you to stand in faith. He wants you to keep trusting Him because He is behind this. He has been the one orchestrating everything. He has been the one guiding you through this journey. He has been the one carrying your spouse. He has been the one calling out to them. He has been the one building and molding both of you. And He's going to be behind you even as you go forward in this marriage and everything that comes with it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I think like with the wedding thing too, like just knowing that the counterfeit, like in the case of the movie, like her Anna's previous fiance, like he didn't want that to be the place where they got married. He didn't agree with what she wanted. And so just like something to keep in mind is that when you are connected to a counterfeit, there is this disagreement that happens in the spirit. Like there may be desires that you have and the counterfeit doesn't have those same desires, and that just goes to show that it's a disconnect. And I've seen this happen in other relationships, but I've even seen it happen with a counterfeit experience that I had, and it wasn't even necessarily about like, I guess it kind of was about desires, but just like these major things, that something that means a lot to you, something that you really value, like they're just not going to see it the same way. They're not going to value it the same way because they weren't created to. But when you are in alignment and you are with the spouse that God ordained for you, there's going to be this agreement. There is going to be this alignment. And that's what makes room for that covenant, because the covenant is an agreement. And so they ended up having it at the place where she wanted, because he loved her and he cared about her. He wanted it to be where she wanted it to be. And so like, even with the things that God places on your heart, like your desires, like they're going to share in those desires because you were designed for them and they were designed for you. So God is going to, give you that oneness in those desires so that you are walking in alignment and in agreement. So I think that's pretty much it for the word. Another thing that I want to mention is just the acceleration in the way that God's bringing these unions together, because the scene switched from them reconciling to them getting married. So, once these reunions do happen, God is going to bring these marriage promises together very, very quickly. But just also like keep in mind that I think that like lately the enemy is really it's been a lot of warfare, honestly. And so I just pray that this word encourages you, and just be aware that there's just a lot of warfare. But it's really because of how close you are. So yeah, just keep that in mind, and just remain in expectation and know that God is working. He's working on them, he's working on you, he's working behind the scenes, he's working in the details. Remember that the Father was behind them. God is behind this. God is behind the scenes. He's doing things. So just continue to trust him, and you will see the double, you will see the harvest, you will see the fruit, you will see the fullness of what he's promised. So be blessed in Jesus' name.